We'll start by talking about how to make a box and whisker plot. The first thing that happens is you're given data, and you want to get that data in order from least to greatest so that you can find your medians. So you first want to do, sometimes it's just hunt and find it and write it down, and sometimes you have to make a stem and leaf plot so that it goes a little bit smoother when you have a lot of numbers. I have few enough numbers that I can just hunt and find them. So I've got 1, 2, cross those off, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 8, 9, 9. All right, so I've got them all in order. And then what we're going to do is we're going to find the median. We're going to find the number in the middle. So let's see here. I've got the outside ones. So I'm crossing them off. And I find that I have 2 in the middle. I have a 5 and a 5. And so in order to figure out what my median is, I'm going to add them together, divide by 2, and I get 5. So that is my median. Now I'm going to find the median of the bottom half, so just these guys right here. And so I go down and work my way down, and I see I have 3 in the middle, so 3 will be my median there. And then I want to find the median of the top half, so work my way down, and I have 8. All right, so now we can start graphing. Now the biggest mistake I see people make with graphing is they make a number line, but they don't actually make a true number line. They just put the numbers in our data. They put these numbers on a line and count that good. So like they'll actually show that there's 2 5s, and they'll skip the 7 and just put the 6 and 8 next to each other. That's not a true number line. We actually need it to be a true number line. So what I like to do is I like to just look at my smallest and my biggest and just make sure that I have those on there. And I don't really need to go beyond that, so I'll just start at 1. And these numbers are not very spread out, so I'll just go ahead and put every number down. You can count by 2s or 3s or 4s or 5s, whatever is appropriate for the numbers that you have. So I'm trying to space them out evenly and write down the numbers that we have. Okay, so I've got a number line. You'll notice that they all go in order. I'm not skipping anything when I'm, because it's important that if I'm not skipping anything here, I don't skip anything over here. I don't have anything doubled. I have the same space in between. All right, and so now I can start drawing my box. The box comes from these medians. See, this 3 that we found, that's our first quartile. 5 is our second quartile, and 8 is our third quartile. So those 3 things make our box. So I start at 3, then I have 1 at 5, and then I have 1 at 8. And so I make vertical lines for that part of the box, and then I connect on the bottom and connect on the top. And so now I have this box that shows my quartile 1, quartile 2, and quartile 3. And then I have to go to my extremes. And so my upper extreme is a 9, so I'm going to put a dot there and connect that. That's one of the whiskers. And then my lower extreme is a 1. I'll put a dot there and connect that, and that's my other whisker. And so now I'm done. I have my box and whiskers, and it shows me everything that I need there. Now, a lot of this stuff, you're going to be asked questions. It's not just about making it, it's being able to answer questions. Like one thing they're going to ask for is the inner quartile range. And that is just taking your quartiles and subtracting them. You're just trying to find out what is this distance right here. So I go from 3 to 8. So if I take 8 minus 3, I go a distance of 5. So my inner quartile range is 5. Now the other thing that you need to understand is kind of the step of a box and whisker plot. So let's just say this is my box and whisker plot. Okay, if you remember with our numbers, we ticked them off and we found our median. So what's going on, let's say I had 12 numbers. And these numbers get put in these, one in the whisker, one in this box, one set in this box, and a set in this box. So really there's 1, 2, 3, 4 parts that our numbers go into. And what you're doing is you're taking your 12 numbers and you're splitting it by 4. And that means all 3 of the numbers, like every time you have 3 numbers, that goes in a certain part. So if these are people, then there's going to be 3 people here in this whisker. And then there's going to be 3 people in this part of the box. And there's going to be 3 people in this part of the box. And there's going to be 3 people in this whisker. It's always going to be that way. It's always going to get evenly distributed as far as how many pieces of data. So when that whisker is really, really long like it is, it's not saying that there's a lot of numbers there. There's actually only 3 in this case. But what it's saying is that it's really spread out. Look at all this room that they have in between them. That's what the long whisker means, is that your data is really spread out and has lots of room. See, this box right here is not very big, but it still has 3 people in it, but they're really close together, elbow to elbow. And so when you take something and divide it by 4, what you're doing is you have 25% for each part. So there is 25% in this whisker of the data. 25% of your numbers are in this one, 25% in this one, and 25% in this one. So maybe they tell you that your median is 50. The number 50 on your number line, you would have the number 50. And they ask, what percent is above 50? Well, if this is 50 on your number line, then you have 25% and another 25%. So you have 50% there. And maybe this number right here is at 63. And they say, what percent is below 63? You say, here's 63. I have 25, 25, and 25. So I have 75% below 63. Okay, so it's always when you split it up into these things, it's how many are in there, it's talking about how spread out they are, not about how many are in there. So if there's lots of whisker, that means there's lots of room for the 25% of them to be.